come on. There we go. All right.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about your lesson.
Mhm.
Why don't you start? Just tell me, what do you think went well? How would you change it? All those kinds of things.
I think it went mostly well. So let me see here. Yeah, I think it went mostly well. I think that sometimes it can be a little difficult for this age range to get a lot of interaction, unfortunately, just with a lot of different features and variables such as like internet connection. Sometimes, I wonder, is there a lag or can they just not hear me? Or, sometimes I give a pause because I know sometimes I notice my own connection is lagging. And then I wonder, am I wasting their time by giving, such a window, so that's kind of one thing that is workable. I think it can sometimes also be difficult to, again, incorporate this interaction because it is such a short time frame, only about 15 minutes. But the main purpose of the lesson is really to get students comfortable with reciting the target sentence structure, such as like, how do we communicate? We communicate through art, theater, dancing, etc. So I think it went okay. I think there's some room for improvement. Yeah, a lot.
Oh my goodness, yes, but so many wonderful things about this lesson, honestly. In terms of an online lesson with early childhood, I thought you did a great job. I understand what you're saying about that wait time. I mean, we have to have wait time with little guys, well, with anybody, but especially the little guys. There's naturally going to be wait time anyway, and now you're dealing with another filter they have to go through, so I think you're okay taking the time. You it's a balance though, because you don't want to lose the rest of them while you're waiting for someone. So that's tricky.
Mhm.
um but I think in terms of an online lesson, I thought you just did a great job. You were animated, you were excited. They
Mm.
clearly wanted to see you. um Let me pull up my notes here because I have some other things here. I love that you start with your expectations. I think that's so important. um and including, parents. And one thing I've seen that early childhood, who was it? Well, anyway, maybe it was Maya.
Uh,
Don't you work with Maya?
I
One
do.
of the things one of the things she added was that she wanted to remind parents that she wanted the students to try.
Mm.
So many times they give them the answers, and they're whispering and that kind of thing. And I don't know if that's important, but because it seemed like your parents were very supportive and didn't detract, but maybe you saw something there that I didn't. Um, so having those expectations, I think, is very good. And then having your TA translate, or your co-teacher, I thought was appropriate.
Mm.
Making sure that parents understand, everybody understands, this is how we're going to go. And sometimes it seems like it's taking a long time to do that, but it sets you up for a really positive class, especially when you only have a short period of time.
Yeah, yeah. Prior to this, we've been online for just over a month now. And, before, a lot of the students can ask and answer the target structure. But the thing is, once it's over the internet, the attention variable is just lost. I know that they hear me, but there's so many other distractions in the room. And so what I did was I removed kind of like the Q&A A-B conversation portion, because I realized we're spending 15 minutes of the entire classroom time solely on getting through like basic daily English that they mostly know, just I wanted them to practice. And it took up the whole lesson time. So I completely just cut it. So that's why you saw in my lesson from last week, it's a lot of like listening and repeating. This way I can also send some like videos after class that still uses this, except I just speak into the video and I pretend that I can hear them so they can kind of speak to
Yep.
me. Yeah.
I think that's really smart. And obviously you've reflected on that and figured out what's going to work best for this period of time. And I think in terms of these little guys, they just need interaction. They need, like you said, repetition and
Mm,
review. It's just so hard. And, but I thought you did, and you used the singing, the songs, because they're going to keep singing those,
yeah.
right? And throughout the day, those are ringing in their heads. I loved them. So
Mm,
you started with that little stand-up song. I loved it. Yeah, and I did notice that lots of repeating what they said,
mm,
paraphrasing back, repeating, what they were saying. Um, your visuals were spot on.
mm,
Um, I loved the feeling words. I
mm.
think that's, I mean, I'm kind of assuming that these are within the curriculum that you are teaching, that you have to cover these things. So because I'm wondering, okay, why did he choose that? But I know that it's all part of your curriculum. Let's see. Yeah, lots of positive reinforcement. You use students' names, which
Mm,
I think is important, because if they're distracted, if they hear their name, they're gonna pop back.
mm.
So anyway, keep that up. Using those videos and songs is so important. Um, yeah, and like you said, your sentence frames, how do we communicate? And you could hear them. I mean, they were actively engaged.
Mm.
I'm wondering if do you kind of monitor uh, and make sure that you're hearing from all of the students?
Mhm. So let me see here. So we have 16 students in the class, but we've broken them up into 3 groups. This way I can
Oh,
give a little bit more individualized attention, because we tried doing 2 groups of 8 and it just didn't quite flow very well. This way I can kind of give a little bit more individualized attention and differentiation.
oh,
Um,
that's great to know. Yeah, yeah. Because that was one of the things I was going to suggest. I think it was kindergarten. They decided to do a combination of the group,
mm,
and then they were teaching days of the week, kind
mhm,
of the calendar was the theme,
mm,
and then she would have quick little 10-minute sessions with
mhm,
individual students,
mm,
and they scheduled it somehow. So
mhm.
that was really great. So the smaller the group, the better, because then you can really be working with those individual kids. So that's great.
Absolutely. Yeah, I do something slightly different, which is kind of the purpose of the videos that I send home. But I like to keep it in groups because the poor kids have no one else, no other kids to play with. A lot of them are only children.
I know.
So that I couldn't imagine, what that must have been like, especially that happened when I was growing up in the 90s. That would have been really tough to do with COVID, at that time.
Yeah.
Mm,
The only other thing I would suggest too, and maybe you do this, is have a time when they, especially since it's a small group. I mean, this would be stepping away from your curriculum a little bit, but still reinforcing speaking.
mhm,
Have them do a show and tell.
mhm,
So bring your favorite toy, bring your favorite stuffed animal.
mhm,
And you can even just say, okay, you could tell parents ahead of time or give them 2 minutes. Go get your favorite stuffed animal.
Mhm.
And then they tell you about it,
Ah,
right?
cool. I
And
like.
you can incorporate your feeling words. How does this make you feel?
Mm,
Do you know what I mean? So that um, I don't know. There's just something about that that brings their life into the online classroom.
I like that. I like that a lot. Very good. Okay. Well, I'll consider that because I think that would be really fun, you know? Yeah. I can't recall if it was this group, but this one boy, he had his hoodie on and zipped up, and when he was zipped up, it became like Ultraman or like one of the Chinese superheroes. And I cut it out just because I needed the video to be 15 minutes, but it was so funny just to see him just looking into the camera and you just see the mask. It was just hilarious. Yeah. So
He just wanted to play. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Mm.
And any games that you can come up with that they could, I mean, they're awful little and it takes a lot of work, I know, from teaching early childhood, how long it takes to teach them a game so that they can play a game.
Uh-huh.
But making it like that too, that might encourage their engagement
Mm,
as
mm.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like.
Anyway, but I just thought you did a great job, hon. I felt like they were listening, they were engaged. You clearly had parents there to support you. And I don't know what else you can do.
Mm, mm. All right. Well, thank you very much for that feedback. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So I look forward to your next one. Just send me a video or send me a same thing. And then with this one, just be sure that when you send me the video link that you send your lesson plan.